The Pulse. The Pulse. Townships interviews. Don't forget breaking news. The Pulse.
Welcome to the Pulse broadcast. I'm William Crooks, the editor of the Pulse of the Eastern Townships. On today's episode, I sit down with Jean Courchesne, one of the new co-owners of Faro La Sip in Lennoxville, which is mid-renovation and set to relaunch this June as a combined café and evening bar. Then I share an editorial on our ongoing coverage of the Lennoxville Borough Language Directive, why we filed a formal access to information request, and why that document matters to every English-speaking resident of Lennoxville. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Pulse broadcast. I'm William Crooks, editor of the Pulse of the Eastern Townships. This week I sat down with Jean Courchesne, one of the new co-owners of Faro in Lennoxville, which is currently mid-renovation and set to relaunch this June under a new name, Faro La Sip. It's a concept that will keep the cafe's coffee program running by day while adding a full evening bar service, a new kitchen, and a front terrace. Here's that conversation. Okay, great. So, what is your name and what is your role here? Are you the manager, the owner?
Yeah, so my name is Jean, and I'm the owner, new owner.
New owner?
Yeah, new owner.
Okay. So you bought the place, and now you're renovating it to your own specifications.
Yeah, well, I was part of, I was owner in Faro for 10 years.
Okay.
I'm from here, but I opened coffee shops in Montreal with Faro.
Okay.
And I wanted to come back here because that's the place where I'm from, and that's the place where I want to grow and have a family and everything. So I managed to buy the place in Lennoxville with one of my best friends, Dominic. So we are renovating, to change a bit the statue of the place. So it will still be a coffee shop. It's still going to be a Faro during the day, but we're changing the name a little bit. So it's going to be Faro La Sip, which is a new concept. It's a concept that is very popular in Montreal. So mostly there will be coffee during the day, and at the evening we will serve alcohol beverage.
Interesting. Okay.
So we will have wine, we will have beer, we will have also beer on tap and cocktails that are all done with partners that are in Eastern Townships. So all the new commodities in the coffee shop will be backed up by a company in Eastern Townships that are excelling in these new in their fields.
Sure.
So
can you give one or two? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the Ciboire will be our partner for the beer. Yeah. Beer tap and cans also.
Yeah.
And the King All, which is a bar that are professional in cocktails. They will do our cocktail lists. So around 5 or 6 cocktails.
Right.
And also the music. It's the partner is Le Groove from Granby.
Okay.
They will have a little spot in the room. So with vinyls, and we will sell vinyls, and you can also come and listen to some music with headphones.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
It looks like it's going to look a lot different. Can you give me an idea of how it looked fine before, I thought. I mean, what's the new, is there like a new theme? Is there like a new, just more modern? What do you think?
Well, we're refreshing the place.
Okay.
We were changing mostly the counter space, so it's more efficient for us and for the clients.
Okay.
So it will be faster for the service, less, because here it was a place that was rebuilt a few times.
Right.
So now we are doing the things as the best we can, so it can be very efficient.
Yeah.
And also beautiful. So the vibe will be a bit mid-century, and also like a diner from the 50s. So it's a blend of two styles.
Yeah.
The music will be more on the soul and jazz, so very mellow and very like the lighting will be very warm, so it will be very, very warm in the room.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. It's going to have the same amount of seating.
Yeah, a little more actually.
A little more.
Yeah,
okay.
We're doing a big terrace in the front.
Right.
So there'll be 20 more seats in the front, and there is also a walk-up window, so you can order from outside.
Wow.
So during the summer or even the winter, you want a hot chocolate or you want anything, you want something to eat, we can serve from the window.
Okay, that's this year?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, is there anything important I missed? This is pretty Good stuff.
Well, yes, the big thing also is that we are changing the menu.
Okay.
So we have a chef now.
Okay.
Kitchen is downstairs. So that's pretty new also.
Yeah.
We finished the kitchen in November 2025, and now the full menu will be ready in June. So the new concept is that it's not sandwiches that is already made, but we will make the sandwiches as you order.
Right.
So it'll be fresher. You'll have, the presentation will be different, and there'll be few choices, but all the choices that we've done are inspired by all the years that we've worked in Montreal. So there's, the chef has done an amazing job, and it will be very all the sandwiches are very different.
Okay.
So yeah, the kitchen will be a big part.
That actually reminds me. Okay, so you're going to have sandwiches. What else are you going to have? Soup, pastries?
Yeah, well, we're always going to have pastries.
Yeah.
Soups for sure during the winter.
Yeah.
And then we want to do plates that you can share with friends.
Okay.
So bigger plates.
Yeah.
Maybe like a special nachos or mac and cheese. We were thinking of things like that. Also like a little platter with cheese and charcuterie.
Right.
So you can have a cup of wine and
sure.
Friends. Yeah.
Sure. Now, one last thing. It sounds like you're really setting up the space well for groups of people to come. Are you going to have like events?
Yep.
Okay.
So once in a while we'll have some events in the main room, which is here.
Yeah.
So sometimes maybe like an acoustic players.
Sure.
Or just like open mics. We want to do events. It's not going to be the main thing.
Yeah.
But we want to do some events sometimes, and also the place you have a place back there where you can reserve the room. So if clients want to do events, there's also a possibility with that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was Jean Courchesne, co-owner of Faro La Sip in Lennoxville, which is expected to open under its new concept in June 2026. For the full written story, including details on the Eastern Townships partners behind the new bar program, head to pulsetownships.com. Thanks for listening. Welcome to the Pulse broadcast. I'm William Crooks, founder and editor-in-chief of the Pulse of the Eastern Townships. This week I want to talk about a story we've been covering since May 26. The Lennoxville Borough Language Directive and why the Pulse filed a formal access to information request with the City of Sherbrooke on Friday night to obtain the full text of that document. Our reporting on this story has been called bad reporting and clickbait. I want to explain what we did, why we did it, and why the document we are asking for matters, not just to us, but to every English-speaking resident of Lennoxville. On Friday evening, the Pulse of the Eastern Townships filed a formal access to information request with Pierre Charette, the City of Sherbrooke's Access to Information Officer, for the full text of the Lennoxville Borough Language Directive, the document at the center of an ongoing public discussion about how English-speaking residents will access municipal services under Bill 14. This was not our first attempt to obtain it. The directive was tabled at the Lennoxville Borough Council meeting of May 26th. The Pulse was present and reported on it shortly thereafter. In the days that followed, we sought the full document through multiple channels. We contacted City of Sherbrooke Media Relations Officer Dominique Cote, the Office of Borough President Bertrand Collins, and the Borough Clerk in person. In response, we received a city statement, a single-sentence resolution clause, an official resolution extract, and the decision summary, reference 2026-0910, which listed the full directive as an attached document, confirming its existence, but did not include it. Once it became clear the directive itself would not be provided through those channels, the Pulse made two explicit written requests for the directive specifically. Neither produced the document. On the second explicit written request, Cote confirmed by email that the Pulse has a legal right to the document under the Act respecting access to documents held by public bodies, but indicated she was checking whether she could provide it informally before a formal access request was required. She confirmed the documents would be published on the city's website in the coming weeks, and that the directive would also be made public when tabled to the Sherbrooke Municipal Council, for which no date has been set. We waited. The document did not arrive. On Friday, we filed formally with Charette. We note clearly that the directive will eventually be public. Cote's email makes that plain, and the law requires it. The access to information request is not an attempt to extract a secret. It is an attempt to obtain, on behalf of our readers, a document that affects their rights on a reasonable timeline, rather than waiting indefinitely for an institutional process to run its course. Under Section 9 of the Act respecting access to documents held by public bodies and the protection of personal information, any person has an unconditional right of access to administrative documents held by a public body in the exercise of its functions. The directive is such a document. It was tabled at a public meeting, voted on, and is listed as an attachment to the official decision summary approved May 15th and 16th, 2026. It exists, it is held by the city, and we have a right to it. Furthermore, Article 29.17 of the Charter of the French Language explicitly states that a municipal body shall make its specific directive public upon transmission to the Ministère de la Langue Française. Publication is not optional, it is a legal requirement. The city may argue the directive has not yet been transmitted because it awaits formal municipal council adoption. That is a procedural explanation, not a legal justification for the lack of timely disclosure. The city now has 20 days to respond to the formal request. If they refuse, they must provide a specific legal reason in writing. One of the most significant questions raised by our coverage has been how employees will verify citizen eligibility in practice. The government of Quebec's own website states that residents covered by one of the Charter's exceptions are asked to specify, in quotes, if they wish to receive services in a language other than French, and that a, quote, a supporting document is not currently required if you declare on your honor that you qualify, unquote. That language is accessible through a link on the City of Sherbrooke's website to the provincial website. However, no city official has explicitly confirmed to the Pulse that this is how things will work in Lennoxville specifically, or that the new directive does not alter that standard in any way. The provincial website language uses the word currently, a qualifier that leaves open the possibility of future change. Until the directive itself is public, residents cannot independently verify whether it is consistent with the provincial standard or whether it introduces anything different. That is not a trivial distinction. It is precisely the question the directive should answer. Lennoxville Councillor Claude Charon described that resolution in a subsequent CBC radio interview following the May 26 meeting as procedural, quote, a characterization that Borough President Collins and the Sherbrooke Records coverage both reflected. The implication is that there was nothing to see here. The borough simply did what the law required, and the outcome was predetermined. That framing does not hold up against the evidence. The Pulse has now examined two publicly available language directives from Section 2.29.1 municipalities. The Township of Havelock adopted October 1st, 2025, and the Municipality of Barrie adopted December 1st, 2025. Both fall under the same legal category as Lennoxville Borough and are subject to the same provincial requirements under Bill 14. We acknowledge that Havelock and Barrie are smaller independent municipalities. While Lennoxville is a borough of a major city, their administrative contexts differ, but the legal framework governing their directives is identical, and the choices embedded in those directives are real. Havelock's directive instructs employees to greet residents in both languages and follow the customer's choice. No eligibility check, no verification step visible to citizens. Barrie's directive outlines 7 situational themes where English may be used, an approach structured entirely around when English can be used, not who qualifies to receive it. If the process were truly procedural, if the outcome were determined entirely by provincial law with no meaningful choices available, these directives would essentially look the same. They do not. Municipalities made choices. The specific language they chose matters. What language Lennoxville's directive uses is therefore a legitimate and newsworthy question. Charon himself acknowledged this during the CBC radio interview, noting that the law leaves room for interpretation and is not entirely rigid in its application. This is not a description of a purely procedural exercise. Elected officials are in the business of providing reassurance to their constituents. That is their role, and it is an important one. It does not make their assurance legally binding or permanent. Collins told the Sherbrooke Record that English-speaking residents can be confident they will continue to receive services in the language of their choice without any new requirements. We do not doubt that he believes this or that he intends it to be true, but Collins and Charon will not hold their positions indefinitely. The directive they have endorsed will remain in force after they are gone, transmitted to the Ministère de la Langue Française, distributed to city employees, and applied by administrators who may interpret it differently than its current proponents intend. Charron himself raised this concern unprompted during the CBC radio interview. Speaking about Lennoxville's bilingual status and the risk that the future census results could bring it into question, he noted that a future municipal administration with separatist leanings might choose not to renew the borough's bilingual status. He was speaking specifically about the bilingual status, but the broader concern about future administrations interpreting these documents differently is one he himself identified. Assurances from today's officials, however sincere, are not a substitute for clear language in a public document. Saint-François MNA Geneviève Hébert told the Sherbrooke Record that the law allows for exceptions to receive services in English and that Lennoxville has that exception, adding that if there are any other requirements imposed by the Ville de Sherbrooke, it would be up to the city to answer that question, unquote. That is a significant statement. The MNA for the riding that includes Lennoxville, a representative of the provincial government that wrote and passed Bill 14, declined to offer any assurance about how the verification requirement works in practice and explicitly directed the question to the city. The full chain of contacts required to pursue this story, a councillor, an MNA's office, a city communications officer, a borough president's office on multiple occasions, a city clerk, and ultimately a formal access to information request, speaks for itself. Charron told the Sherbrooke Record that the Pulse's original coverage was, quote, a mistake in bad reporting. The Record's Sharon McCulley wrote on Facebook that the Pulse, quote, extracted a line from the law from which Lennoxville has an exception and used it as clickbait. The Pulse stands by its reporting. Charron stated at the May 26th meeting twice in both French and English during a prepared bilingual presentation that employees must verify citizens' eligibility before providing services in another language. The Sherbrooke Record reported the same quote in its own coverage of the same meeting. Charron has not requested a correction. McCulley's characterization deserves a direct response. The line in question, quote, employees must verify citizens' eligibility, unquote, was not extracted from the provincial law. It was stated by Charron himself at a public council meeting in English as part of his own presentation of the directive. Charron was presenting the directive's language, not reading directly from the statute, but in either case, reporting what a public official says at a public meeting is not clickbait. It is the job. We understand the controversy was uncomfortable. We understand there's a strong institutional interest at the borough, city, and provincial levels in reassuring the Anglophone community and presenting this process as entirely benign. That interest is legitimate, but it does not change what was said on the record or what the public has a right to know. We are not asserting that Lennoxville's directive contains a harsh or unreasonable verification requirement. We are not asserting that the city has acted in bad faith. We are not asserting that English services in Lennoxville are under threat. We are asserting that a public document voted on at a public meeting affecting the rights of English-speaking residents should be available to the public and to the journalists who cover the public interest without requiring multiple requests and a formal legal process to obtain. When it is released, the Pulse will report on its contents. That is the editorial position of the Pulse of the Eastern Townships. We are not asserting that English services in Lennoxville are under threat. We are not asserting that the city has acted in bad faith. We are asserting that a public document voted on at a public meeting affecting the rights of English-speaking residents should be available to the public without requiring a formal legal process to obtain. Again, when the directive is released, we will report on its contents. If you have thoughts on this story, you can reach me at william@pulsetownships.com. The full editorial is available at pulsetownships.com. I am William Crooks. Thanks for listening, and always remember, keep that finger on the pulse. That's it for today's Pulse broadcast. You heard from Jean Courchesne about the new concept coming to Lennoxville this June, and I laid out where we stand on the Borough Language Directive and why we're pushing for that document to be made public. Full stories in the written editorial are available at pulsetownships.com. If you have thoughts on the Language Directive coverage, reach me at william@pulsetownships.com. I am William Crooks. Thanks for listening, and always, always remember, keep that finger on the pulse.
The Pulse. The Pulse. Townships interviews. Don't forget breaking news. The Post, the Post, the Post, broadcast just for you. Are you heading out for a cruise, or lying there for a snooze? The Post, the Post, the Post, broadcast just for you. Hey, I know that guy. Hey, I know that gal too. The Post, the Post, the Post, broadcast just for you. The townships are the muse. Make sure to choose the Post, 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 the Post. The Pulse of the Eastern Townships, broadcast just for you. The Post, the Post, the Post, the Post. The Pulse of the Eastern Townships, broadcast just for you. The Post, the Post, the Post, the Post. The Post, the Post, the Post, the Post.